Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Hemel Airfoil HF20. This watch is available from hemelwatches.com for €450. Hemel are a well-established microbrand. They were founded in 2016 and they're based in New York. This piece, the Airfoil HF20, is inspired by 1970s British military pilots' watches. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in this orange cardboard watch box, which is branded on the lid and also the sides with Hemel's logo. One removes the lid to the base, and the watch sits on a padded pillow cushion in the base, and the padded pillow cushion is upholstered with white velour fabric to a good standard, so the padded pillow cushion is a snug fit inside the cardboard base. And on the side of the base we have a message, "Please recycle, thanks," and this indicates Hemel are conscientious with regards to sustainability and using environmentally friendly packaging, because the cardboard watch box is recyclable. But however, I'm going to be critical of it because on one hand, one could say, well, it's environmentally friendly, which is good. But on the other hand, we're looking at a €450 price point piece, which is in the low tier, but it is at the upper end of the low tier. So to clarify, low tier is €0 to €500 price point. And at this price point, €450, one expects a plastic watch box with a hinged lid, or alternatively a vinyl or PU coated watch box, or alternatively a vinyl or PU leather watch roll. So I'd like to see Hemel upgrade their packaging, although one has to accept this is environmentally friendly. So with regards to the items, one gets two stickers. One says Hemel HFT20 and the other one has the Hemel H emblem, as you can see. And one also gets this die-cast metal coin, as you can see, which is the Bicompax chronograph as per this Airfoil HF20, and on the reverse it has the specifications of an HF series watch, HFT20, so nice to get that included. And lastly, one also gets this microfiber polishing cloth, which is in orange. Now, it's unbranded. This is a disappointment. I always like to see a branded microfiber polishing cloth, irrespective of the price point of a piece. Now, one could be magnanimous about it being sterile and unsigned or unbranded if it were below the €100 price point in the low tier, but this is €450. I'd like to see Hemel print their brand logo, because that would further enhance the microfiber polishing cloth, but nonetheless, nice to get it included. So there are two things which are absent: warranty card and owner's instruction manual. Now, on a positive note, I'm pleased to report that this Airfoil HF20 is covered by a 2-year international warranty, which is excellent. Often low-tier microbrands only cover their watches with 12 months international warranty, so to get 2 years of international warranty is excellent, and Hemel deserve full credit for that, but there's no warranty card. So I'd like to see Hemel include a warranty card with a QR code that could be scanned with an Android or iPhone to activate the 2-year warranty from the date of purchase, and also download the terms and conditions of the 2-year international warranty. The other thing that's absent is an owner's instruction manual in the form of a printed booklet with clear, concise diagrams and instructions in English, or as an alternative, a owner's instruction manual card with a QR code that could be scanned with an Android or iPhone to download clear, concise diagrams and instructions in English of how to operate the movement used in the piece, which is the Siegel Caliber ST19 column wheel chronograph. So I'd like to see Hemel include both of those things: warranty card, owner's instruction manual, or alternatively owner's instruction manual card with QR codes. €450, one cannot be magnanimous about the absence of those aforementioned things. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, we have a 40mm case diameter, we have a lug-to-lug measurement of 47mm, a thickness of 13.6mm and a lug width of 20mm. The genuine leather strap has a tan tone to it with contrasting white stitching, and it tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to the solid 316L grade stainless steel buckle and tang. Flawless mirror polishing to the top side, underside and flanks of the buckle, nicely proportioned, nice heavy gauge, doesn't have sharp corners, no sharp edges to the flanks, and it's been mirror polished to a flawless standard. It is signed, and I'm pleased to see that Hemel haven't used the cost-cutting measure of a sterile buckle and tang. It has Hemel engraved vertically on the left and the right hand flanks. Now, I think rather than engraving Hemel vertically on the buckle, it would look better if they engraved it in larger font horizontally, simply Hemel once rather than Hemel and Hemel repeated on the left and the right hand flanks vertically. I think it would look more aesthetically pleasing, but this is subjective. Some collectors might like the vertical engraving of Hemel on the left and the right hand flanks. We have a double dome sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside, and the clear anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the double dome sapphire crystal and the glossy black enamel dial. So as I've detailed, this piece, the Airfoil HF20, is inspired by 1970s British military pilots' watches. So same dial layout as British pilots' watches, which were used in the 70s, and we also have the broad arrow, which indicates property of the crown. Now, subjectively, one could be critical and say this is not a military issued piece from the 1970s. It's not property of the British Crown or the British military, therefore it shouldn't have the broad arrow. But however, it is effectively an homage to those pieces, and some collectors might like that it is true to the original 1970s British military pilots' watches. They did have broad arrows because, of course, they were military issued and therefore they were property of the British Crown. I think it looks good. I like it. So dial layout is the same as the 1970s dial layout of British pilots' watches. The bezel is ceramic. Now, Hemel deserve credit here because they've got the balance correct between effectively a heritage reissue piece or an homage to 1970s pilots' watches, but made to modern day specifications. So, for example, it has sapphire crystal versus acrylic crystal, which is more hard and scratch resistant. So that's modern day specification. The bezel insert is in aluminium. It's made from ceramic, which again is harder and more scratch resistant. But visually, aesthetically, it does look like a 1970s pilot's watch, but of course modern day specification, and it doesn't use tritium, which is radioactive. It uses C3 superluminova on the bezel insert, the dial, and also the hands. The white syringe hands contrast very well with the glossy black enamel dial, and I like the white arrowhead tip. On the second hand for the chronograph, the sub-dials have nice crisp printing of the Arabic numerals and also the second and minute ticks. So the bicompact style has nice balance. It's symmetrical rather than asymmetrical, and I like the legibility of it. The Arabic numerals are correctly proportioned. We've got larger 12 Arabic numerals and larger 6 Arabic numerals, which balance the dial very well, and smaller Arabic numerals for the other hours. One thing I like about it is the diamond-shaped lume pip, as you can see, which is actually inlaid. It's an engraved diamond which is infilled with C3 superluminova as opposed to an applied lume pip, but I like it. It reminds me of the Blancpain 50 Fathoms. I like the diamond shape of it, and also like the crisp fine font of the Arabic numerals for the hours on the bezel, which is very well done. Glossy finish to the ceramic bezel insert. It's very nicely polished, and I like the infilling of the engraved Arabic numerals and the dots for the minute marks. So the bezel is very well finished. One detail I like about it is the retort is shallow, it's not deep, and this is powered by the Seagull Caliber ST19, and the benefit of that is it doesn't need a deep retort, it doesn't need a lot of clearance above the cannon pinion and the chronograph second hand to prevent it fouling the underside of the double dome sapphire crystal. The double dome sapphire crystal isn't a box top hat crystal, it's got a slight 2mm dome to it, and it's very aesthetically pleasing, and I want to give due credit to Hemel here because often low-tier microbrands have a tendency to use box top hat crystals to give a piece of vintage aesthetic like a 1970s piece. Yes, it does look like acrylic or plexiglass or hesselite, but the problem is it often adds too much thickness, especially with a chronograph, and it makes them above 14mm thick. This is 13.6, and that's the benefit of it having a double dome sapphire crystal versus a boxed top hat style crystal. So let's test the bezel execution. Solid 316L grade stainless steel bezel, coin edge finished, nice mirror polished coin edge teeth, nice large chamfer on the top edge of the coin edge teeth, so it's low profile but grippy and tactile, and the large chamfer on the top edge deletes the sharp tips to the teeth, so it's grippy, tactile but doesn't feel sharp, so it's very well finished. 120 click unidirectional bezel, which is like a dive watch bezel, feels smooth. Feels smooth all the way through the 360 degrees, doesn't get lighter or heavier, which is good. I like the refinement of it. You can feel and hear the loud audible clicks. Feels very smooth. So medium resistance, to put it into perspective, it feels like a lighter resistance than a Seiko 5KX bezel. Feels heavier than a Pagani designed PD1661 or a Steel Dive SD1953. So it's got medium firm resistance but lighter than a Seiko 5KX. I like it. No lateral side-side play whatsoever, no back play whatsoever, so it feels tight with medium resistance. They've got the balance correct, not too heavy, not too light, and I like the loud audible clicks. They sound satisfying, sound smooth, feels smooth, and one can feel the click spring engaging with 120 grooves in the underside of the stainless steel bezel. It feels solid, doesn't feel light and tinny. I like it. So let's just check the alignment. One more click. Perfect. The diamond perfectly aligns with the 12 o'clock index on the 12 o'clock Arabic numerals and the 60-minute tick on the chaptering. So this is perfect bezel execution. Hemel have got it correct. No lateral side-to-side play, no back play, even through the 360 degrees, medium firm resistance, perfect alignment. It's excellent. Let's test the push-pull crown execution. So push-pull crown rather than screw-down crown, which is appropriate because the Seagull Caliber ST19 is a manual wind column wheel chronograph. It's not an automatic with a rotor. Low profile coin edge crown, it's good because it's large enough to get good purchase with your index finger and thumb to manually wind it to its maximum 45-hour power reserve, but it doesn't stick too proud from the right hand flank of the case, so it's not going to dig into the back of the hand when you flex the wrist. They've got the proportion of it correct, and it does look correctly proportioned for a 1970s pilot's watch, so I like it. Coin edge finishing is very good, nice coarse coin edge finishing, large chamfer which deletes the sharp tips of the teeth, and I'm pleased to see it signed with an H, which is the Hemel emblem. So let's test the execution. In the closed position, one can manually wind the Caliber ST19 column wheel chronograph to its maximum 45-hour power reserve. Feels heavy. It's a characteristic of the Seagull Caliber ST19 that it has a very heavy mainspring, which of course is necessary to provide 45 hours of power reserve versus 40. And one can feel the tension build up quickly. So you have to really get a good grip with your index finger and thumb on the crown and give it a good turn with a lot of torsion in order to manually wind the mainspring, and you can really feel the tension building up. So to put it into perspective, it feels heavier than manually winding a Seiko NH35A, which you will all be familiar with. That feels lighter, although it is a solid mainspring. The ST19 has a very heavily sprung loaded mainspring, so you can feel it build up to its maximum 45 hours. 40 clockwise turns is enough. When the mainspring is fully unwound and the movement is exhausted and it stops dead, 40 clockwise turns is enough to fully wind it to its maximum 45 hours. It feels smooth, doesn't feel rough or gritty, so it feels pleasant to manually wind, and I like the proportion of the crown, but it feels heavy, so you've really got to give it a good turn. That's something you have to become accustomed to. So pulling it out to the first click position is the time setting position, but the movement doesn't hack, and that's something to bear in mind. If you look at the subdial at the 9 o'clock position for the seconds, you can see the second hand on the subdial at 9 o'clock continues to run, even though I'm in the time setting position. This is the negative subjectively of the Caliber ST19. It has hand winding, but it doesn't hack. So therefore it's not possible to set the time precisely to the second. That's something you need to bear in mind if you like to be able to set time precisely to the second. Syringe hands are correctly proportioned. I like the way the hour syringe hand extends all the way to the Arabic numerals for the hours, and the syringe minute hand extends all the way to the chaptering minute ticks. So the hands are correctly proportioned. Often low tier microbrands have a tendency to undersize the proportions of hands, and these syringe hands do look like 1970s British military pilot watch hands, and they've got the proportions, both the length and the width, correct. So it feels smooth, clockwise and anti-clockwise, minimal friction to the movement. It has 21 joules, and I like the smoothness of it. Feels refined. One can feel the meshing of the gearing, but it doesn't feel rough or gritty. It feels smooth. Medium resistance to the gearing. Feels heavier than setting a Seiko NH35A, to put it into perspective, but I like it. Minimal back play. When you rotate the coin edge crown clockwise and anti-clockwise, the syringe minute hand almost immediate response. There is some slight back play, so you have to take up the slack, but it is necessary, because if the meshing of the gearing did not have this back play, when you push back in the crown, it would cause the syringe minute hand to jump out of position. By having some slight back play in the meshing of the gearing, it allows the minute hand to remain static when you push the crown back in, so it's good to have some slack. Feels good. So pushing it back in's got a nice positive click. Feels good to manually wind, although firm. Feels good to set the time. Feels smooth clockwise and anti-clockwise. So it feels pleasant to manually wind, pleasant to set the time. Let's test the chronograph complication. So top pusher activates the chronograph. Nice, crisp, heavily sprung loaded pusher. Feels exactly the same as the Seagull 1963, which is an iconic column wheel chronograph I've previously reviewed. It's got the exact same feeling to the pushers. Nice, crisp, heavily sprung loaded pusher, and I like the feeling of it. It feels rather like an Amiga Seamaster. It's got that kind of feeling to it, Amiga Speedmaster, because it's got that heavy sprung loaded feeling to the pusher. It feels solid, reliable and robust. It doesn't feel too light. So you've got to really give it a good hard push with your index finger, and it feels crisp. Both starting and stopping it, it's got a nice loud audible click, but you can also feel it, the heavy spring loaded action, and it's got a nice satisfying click. And when you press it and feel the click, the arrowhead tip to the chronograph hand immediately begins to sweep around the dial. So I like that crisp feeling of it. Feels heavily sprung loaded, feels reliable and durable. Feels good to start and stop it. So pushing the lower pusher resets it, and that will make the chronograph hand fly back to 12 o'clock. Bang on the centre of the 12 o'clock index, and also the 60-minute tick on the chapter ring. So I'll just check it again 2 more times. I like the smoothness of it. Now, subjectively, one can be critical because this runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz, and it's got that characteristic 3 Hz stutter or judder to the chronograph hand. As you can see, it's not as smooth as a 4 Hz sweep, and same applies to the 9 o'clock subdial for the seconds. It has that characteristic stutter or judder because it runs at 3 Hz versus 4, but you can see it runs smoothly. Pushing it back in again stops it, and then pressing the lower pusher resets it, flies back to 12. I'll just check it one more time to check the alignment, because with a column wheel chronograph I like to check the alignment 3 out of 3 times for continuity, to make sure the alignment always bangs on, it aligns bang on 12 o'clock, bang on the 60-minute tick on the chapter ring or the tachymeter if it has a tachymeter scale. So I'm going to stop it again and reset. Bang on the centre. So it's perfect alignment. The chronograph hand isn't too far to the left or the right. It resets bang on the 60-minute tick, bang on the 12 o'clock index, right on the centre, 3 out of 3 times. So I want to give due credit to Hemel because they've got the alignment correct, and it's excellent. So it feels good. I like the operation of it. Nice firm resistance to the pushers. They feel solid, reliable and robust. The reset lower pusher also activates very well, flies back bang on the centre. Feels good, nice solid resistance. So I'll show you the case back. Exhibition case back, glazed with sapphire crystal, and it does a good job of displaying the Seagull caliber ST19. Decorated with blued screws, and it's very well finished. Nice bevels to the main plate and the bridges, and I like it. I like the blued screws. And also, this is the swan neck regulator version. Some ST19s do not have the swan neck regulator, some do. This is the better version. It has the swan neck regulator, which means it can be regulated more accurately in 5 positions. So to clarify, this one is regulated in 5 positions to plus and minus 10, and having the swan neck regulator makes it easier to regulate. Very well finished, and it's very aesthetically pleasing. I like looking at it through the sapphire crystal glazed exhibition caseback. The stainless steel portion is mirror polished to a flawless standard, and it's engraved with the specification of the piece and also Hemel, and I like it. The engraving is very good. It's high definition and crisp, but no sharp edges to it. The mirror polishing is absolutely flawless, and the milled slots in the stainless steel portion have been deburred and chamfered very well. What I like about it is, although it's an exhibition caseback which provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 metres, it's not too thick. The sapphire crystal isn't too thick, and also the stainless steel portion isn't too thick. So it's flat and low profile. It's not a bubble back caseback. So Hemel deserve credit, because often column wheel chronograph exhibition casebacks are very thick when they have 100 metres of hermetic seal. This isn't, it's very flat. The benefit of it being flat is the head of the piece sits close to the wrist. It doesn't have a large gap between the wrist and the undercuts to the flanks. Feels smooth and comfortable against the wrist when wearing it for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. Visually it looks good. I like the large proportion of the glazing. Often with exhibition casebacks, low tier microbrands, they make the glazing, the crystal portion, too small and the stainless steel portion too large. But this is good because the glazing is large and it fully displays the beauty of the Seagull caliber ST19 to its best effect. So the sapphire crystal is large diameter, and they've made the stainless steel portion minimum diameter, and it's still a screw down case back with 100 metres versus a pressed on case back, or alternatively 50 metres of water resistance. So 100 is strong specification, and I like its low profile. As you can see, it's nice and flat. It's not a deep bubble back case back. So again, the benefit of that is this is only 13.6 thick. Often column wheel chronographs powered by the ST19 have a box top hat crystal, and they are 14mm plus. That makes them top heavy, and it diminishes the comfort level and feel good factor of wearing the piece. This is only 13.6 with an exhibition case back, and it's very good. So feels good, looks good. I like it. Let's look at the strap in detail. So genuine leather strap, nice tan tone to it, contrasting white stitching around the perimeter is flawless, and we've got plenty of slots in it. This will fit from a 6 to a 7.5 inch wrist, but that's something to note. 7.5 is the maximum. You'll see in the wrist shots, 8 inches, I can engage it in the last hole or slot, but it's too short for an 8 or 8.5 inch wrist. So really 6 to 7.5 inches is the maximum. I'd like to see a longer strap used with more slots or holes in to allow for 6 to 8 inches, but this will suffice for the majority of collectors because I appreciate the majority of collectors have a 6 to 7.5 inch wrist. On the underside it says genuine leather and it has a contrasting liner to it. White stitching around the perimeter is good, and I'm pleased to see the correct decision of stainless steel quick release spring bars rather than standard spring bars, because that negates the need for a spring bar tool in order to exchange the strap. The benefit of quick release spring bars, when you have a mirror polished case like this with mirror polished lugs, when you have a thick padded strap like this, it's difficult to compress the edge of the strap in between the lugs in order to compress the strap and the spring bar to remove it, and there's a risk of scuffing and scratching the polished lugs if you slip with a spring bar tool. But by having quick release stainless steel spring bars, that negates the need. It's easy to withdraw the spring bar from the polished lugs and there's no risk of scuffing and scratching them, which is good. But however, it's a shame that this isn't signed with an embossed Hemel text logo on the other side, because I like to see straps signed as well as the buckle and tang signed. So they've missed an opportunity because it does have genuine leather embossed, but on the other side we don't have Hemel. So I'd like to see them sign their straps and not just the buckle and tang. Two keepers, the first one is fixed, the second one slides as one would expect. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. And you can see the white contrasting stitching is good, no loose stitches. It is a thick strap, that's something to bear in mind. It's padded, it's thicker at the spring bar end where it needs to be more reinforced and robust. It tapers down in thickness and also in width, but it does feel very stiff. It's not as soft and supple as a Halloween shell cordovan strap or a calf leather strap, and that's something to bear in mind. I am confident with daily wear it will break in and become more soft and supple, but initially it does feel like a very heavy thick strap. So there is room for improvement on this. They could either use a thinner padded leather strap or a higher grade of leather such as cordovan shell Halloween shell cordovan leather. That would be better because it would be more soft and supple immediately. But on the other side it does feel more soft and supple due to the holes and the slots, as you can see, but it does still feel stiff. It is going to break in. Now, on a positive note, it does look and feel very durable and robust because it is thick, it is padded, it's got nice heavy layers of leather, so it's not going to split and crack easily, but it's just going to take a lot of breaking in. It does feel very stiff rather than soft and supple. But durability, I'm confident, would be good. Quality of the finishing is good. Aesthetically, it looks very aesthetically pleasing for a 1970s inspired British military pilot's watch, and proportions are correct. 20mm lug width on a 40mm head of the piece is correct. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. So as I've detailed, it's a fraction too short for my 8-inch wrist. Now I can just engage the end of the strap in the first fixed keeper. Just bear with me and I'll do that. It's fiddly when you're wearing a pair of gloves. And I can just engage the second sliding keeper. Just bear with me, I'll do that with the gloves as well. There we are. So as you can see, this will fit up to a 6 to maximum 7.5 inch wrist size because it does feel tight on my 8-inch wrist, but I can engage it and there is still one spare hole in the strap, and I can just engage the end of it in the two keepers, the first fixed keeper and the second sliding keeper. But realistically 6 to 7.5 is the optimum size, but I'm not going to be critical of it because for the majority of collectors 40mm with a strap that fits a 6 to 7 inch wrist is acceptable because the majority of collectors do have a 6 to 7.5 inch wrist, not an 8-inch plus wrist. But I'd like to see Hemel offer two different strap lengths, for example medium and large. Medium for 6 to 7.5 inch and then a large strap to fit 7 to 8 inch plus. That would be a good option to have. But the strap does look aesthetically pleasing, taper is good, I like the contrasting white stitching and the tan tone of it. So in terms of wrist presence, 40mm does give nice wrist presence without dominating the wrist. Visually, it does look very aesthetically pleasing. Feel good factor is good, comfort level is good. I like the curved profile to the undercuts to the flanks. Nice curved profile to the lugs. It wraps around the wrist very well, so it doesn't sit on top of the wrist like a slab of 316L grade stainless steel. It curves around the wrist. The thing I like about it is the lack of thickness. As I've detailed, what we're looking at here is correct decision after correct decision. Case back is not a deep bubble back exhibition case back. It's low profile and flat. So you can see the undercuts to the flanks sit very snug to the wrist. The benefit is it is only 13.6 because it doesn't have a boxed top hat 2mm thick double dome sapphire crystal. The double dome sapphire crystal has a 2mm dome, but it's low profile. So this is only 13.6 as a result, but it's not 50 meters, it's 100 meters, which is strong specification for a chronograph. So low profile double dome sapphire crystal is good. Also flat exhibition case back is good. Flanks are a nice snug fit to the wrist. 47 lug to lug is good. Now, you'll know from my previous reviews, 48 is the perfect sweet spot. That is for all wrist sizes, regardless of whether you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively. So at 47, it's 1mm below the perfect sweet spot, but it is acceptable. It will fit a 6 to 7 inch wrist due to the curved profile of the case, and also the 1mm shorter than the perfect 48. At 47, it's relatively compact for a 40mm head of the piece, so this will fit a 6 to 7 inch wrist and also fit a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively. Wrist presence is good, but it doesn't feel top heavy, it feels balanced. Thing that I like about it above all else, and also the thing that surprises me, is the lack of heft. It's only 87 grams. And with a 40mm column wheel chronograph piece powered by the Caliber ST19, I would expect this to be circa 100 grams on a leather strap. But it is only 87, so it lacks heft, although it's a 40mm. 87 is the kind of heft I would expect with a 38 or a 39mm, but it is very lightweight. The calf leather, the genuine leather strap, does curve around the wrist very well. I like the taper of it, and it balances, it distributes the head of the piece, the heft of it, very well across the 20mm width. So strap looks correctly proportioned, looks aesthetically pleasing, and we've got this large heavy gauge buckle, which is good. It balances the head of the piece. Visually, it does look very similar to a 1970s British military pilot's watch. So the balance is correct. It's got the aesthetics of a 1970s pilot's watch, but modern day specifications: sapphire crystal and ceramic versus acrylic crystal and aluminium bezel inserts, which of course are softer and not as scratch resistant. AR coating works well, legibility is good. The white syringe hands contrast very well with the glossy enamel black dial. Excellent. So looks good, feels good. Feel good factor is very good, and I like it's 13.6 and only 87 grams. Visually, it does look like a very good looking piece, and the AR coating works very well. So I like it. I think they've got the balance correct. It is difficult for a micro brand in the low tier to get the balance correct when they do a heritage reissue, or alternatively an homage to a 1970s vintage piece. They have to get the balance right because it has to look aesthetically pleasing like the original from the 1970s, but modern day specification in 2025, but they have to get the balance right between vintage looking and modern day specification. This does have C3 patina loom, which does look like tritium loom from the 1970s that has developed a peach patina tone, but the C3 does match very well on the dial, the ceramic bezel insert and the syringe handset. The glossy ceramic bezel insert is modern day specification, but does aesthetically look very nice because the glossy black of the ceramic matches the glossy enamel black dial. So they've got it right, they've got the balance correct. Right, so let's do a loom test and we'll see how the loom performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So this piece uses C3 super loom layer throughout on the ceramic bezel inserts, which is fully loomed, the dial and also the syringe handset. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. We're clearly looking at 5 to 6 layers on the bezel insert, 5 to 6 layers on the dial, and 5 to 6 layers on the syringe handset. Syringe handset is correctly proportioned. The hour syringe hand and the minute syringe hand, you can clearly differentiate between them. You can see the shorter hour hand and the longer minute hand. Arrowhead tip to the chronograph hand is legible. Printing of the 12 Arabic numerals gives good orientation to the dial. It's good. I like the fully loomed ceramic bezel inserts with the hour dots for the markers and also the Arabic numerals for the hours, and above all else I really like the diamond shape as opposed to a loom pip which is applied. They've done a very good job of it, so I'm just going to charge this up again because the camera's struggling to focus on it. So clearly looking at 5 to 6 versus the cost-cutting measure of 3 to 4 layers of C3. Perfect colour tone match in daylight. It looks like a nice peach patina tone of the C3. Same colour tone on the bezel, dial and hands, and in the dark we've got the same green tone of the C3. And they've made the correct decision by using green C3 versus blue BGW9 because this is inspired by 1970s British military pilots' watches, and they used tritium, and of course tritium glowed green, it didn't glow blue. So C3 does give the aesthetic of tritium, which was used in the 1970s, and I like the green tone of it. It's a good colour tone match on the bezel, the dial and the handset, and I'm pleased to see they haven't used the cost-cutting measure of 2 to 3 layers or 3 to 4. It's excellent. I like it. Right, so let's discuss the movement use because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. So as I've detailed, this is powered by the Seagull Caliber ST19 and it's the swan neck regulator version, which is the better version. The Seagull ST19 is based on the Venus Caliber 175, so the architecture is the same as the Venus 175. In the 1960s, Seagull acquired the machinery used to manufacture the Venus Caliber 175, and from the 1960s onwards they began to produce the ST19, and it's the same movement used in the iconic Seagull 1963 column wheel chronograph, which I previously reviewed. This is the swan neck regulator version, which makes regulating easier and more accurate, and it can be regulated in 5 positions to plus or minus 10 seconds per day, which is good. So this is the 21 joule version of it, and it runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. It has hand winding, but the negative is it does not have hacking, and as I've detailed, if you look at the second subdial at 6 o'clock, when I pull out the crown to the time setting position, you can see we're now in the time setting position. Normally that would hack a movement, but if you look at the second subdial at 9 o'clock, you can see the second hand continues to run even though I'm in the time setting position. So the ST19 does not hack. The movement runs continuously, so therefore you cannot set it precisely to the second. That's something to bear in mind. Manual winding feels smooth, although it's heavily sprung loaded. So 45-hour power reserve is very impressive. Sometimes ST19s only have a 40-hour power reserve. If you use the chronograph complication, for example, for 1 hour per day, that will reduce the power reserve from 45 down to 40. But when it's fully wound with 40 clockwise turns to its maximum, if you don't use the chronograph for 1 hour per day, 45 hours is the maximum power reserve. So as I've detailed, the stated accuracy is plus or minus 10 seconds per day when it's regulated in 5 positions. Now, the plus or minus 10 is based upon it being fully wound to its maximum 45 hours. It's a given that when the power reserve is depleted, less than 50%, for example, when this has less than 20 hours left on the mainspring, the accuracy runs out. It becomes wider, for example, plus or minus 15, plus or minus 20, and so on. So in order to perform best, like all column wheel chronograph movements, they need to be fully wound to their maximum. So at 45 hours, the maximum, it will run between plus or minus 10. This one has been very well regulated by Hemel, and it's running consistently at plus 8 seconds per day, which is acceptable for an ST19. It's well within the stated plus or minus 10 per day. Plus 8 is good when it's at 45 hours, and I think it's good enough. Regulating it in 5 positions is good. In terms of reliability, it is reliable. It's well proven. It's been in use since the 1960s by Seagull, and they use the exact same movement in their iconic Seagull 1963 column wheel chronograph. The reliability is good. Durability is good, build quality, quality control, materials and finishing are good. I like that it's decorated with blued screws, and I like the milled stripes on the bridges and the mirror polishing to the main plate and the bevels, which are mirror polished as well on the edges. It's very well finished. So quality of the mirror polishing and the milled stripes are good, the blued screws are well finished, and it's an absolute delight to look at it through the sapphire crystal glazed exhibition caseback. Accurate movements, reliable, durable. I like it. 45 hours plus or minus 10 seconds per day. Feels very smooth, doesn't feel rough or gritty to manually wind. The time setting works well, and the chronograph complication feels crisp when you press in the top pusher. Nice positive click, heavily sprung loaded. Nice positive click when you stop it, and it resets bang on the alignment is correct. So it's reliable, it's accurate, it's a good, solid, reliable, well-proven workhorse column wheel chronograph, and the architecture is the same because it's based on the Venus caliber 175, but it has additional joules added. This has 21 joules. So looks good, works well. I think it's the correct choice for this piece at the €450 price point. They could have used the cost-cutting measure of a Seiko VK63 as per low-tier Chinese brands below the €100 price point. That would not have been acceptable. A Seiko VK63 at the €450 price point is wholly unacceptable. The ST19 is acceptable. So last I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meet two criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So low tier piece, price point is €450. Quality of the mirror polishing to the top of the case, flanks of the case and the undercuts are mid-tier level. They're €500 to €5,000 price point finishing. So also the mirror polishing in between the lugs is the defining criteria, because often low-tier microbrands, in order to cut production costs to maximise profit margin per piece, they do not mirror polish in between the lugs to the same standard as the top of the lugs, the flanks and the exhibition case back. So when I'm looking at a mirror polish piece in the low tier and the mid tier, the first area I look at to define the quality is in between the lugs, because this is the area that they will just machine or brush satin finish as a production cost cutting measure. The finishing will be rough in between the lugs. In between the lugs on this Hemel piece, it's mirror polished to the same flawless standard as the top of the lugs and the flanks and the exhibition case back stainless steel portion. It's mid-tier level, €500 to €5,000. This is the criteria I use, the lug finishing. So excellent quality. Value I'm going to declare as okay. Now I'm not going to say excellent and I'm not going to say good value, because at €450 it's a low tier piece, but we're at the upper end of the low tier. And this does face some stiff competition from other low tier microbrands at the €450 price point, producing column wheel chronograph pieces powered by the ST19. €450 I think is expensive. I think they need to lower the price point below €400 in order to make it more competitive with other mid-tier microbrands and also low-tier microbrands at the €450 price point. Quality is excellent. Quality control, build quality, finishing are all outstanding throughout. I like it, but I just think the price needs to be lowered. So I'm going to say excellent quality and I'm going to say okay value at €450. I'm going to recommend it to you for consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Hemel Airfoil HF20. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.